Welcome to the Pickleball Recovery Podcast, where we highlight products and practices to help you feel better faster, so you can spend less time stiff, sore, and injured, and more time on the court doing what you love. This podcast is sponsored by AlloMD. Don't just mask pain, eliminate it. AlloMD provides intense relief and advances continual repair for both acute injuries and chronic pain. All-natural, patented technology developed by doctors to get you back in the game fast without the use of opioids, steroids, or NSAIDs. AlloMD, harnessing the power of pure natural ingredients that provide deep, penetrating repair. Patented, validated, natural. Learn more at www.allomd.com and make sure to use the discount code PBR at checkout to save $5 off your order. What's up? It's your host, timringgold. Welcome to Pickleball Recovery. Did you play some pickleball today? Have you played yet? I hope you played. Did you stretch after? Not before. Did you stretch afterwards? Come on. If you haven't figured it out yet, you got to warm up before and you got to stretch after. And if you want an easy guide to help you do that and show you how to do it, just go to pickleballrecovery.com. I've got some cool videos and some cool photos and like a super cool breakdown, free guide for you. Just go to pickleballrecovery.com and check it out, okay? So today I have a good friend of mine, Dr. Michael Breus, here on the pod. And man, this guy is just a wealth of information on the topic of sleep. He is known as the Sleep Doctor. And he's at thesleepdoctor.com. And that's how you know, like, someone is really into something. So he's a double board certified clinical psychologist and clinical sleep specialist. He's the author of 3 books. He's an expert resource. He's on like over 300 interviews a year, whether it's Oprah, Dr. Oz, The Doctors, New York Times, Wall Street Journal. Yep. Like, he's been on all of them. He's been in practice for over 20 years. And he's just an awesome guy. Really, I'm really stoked. We've gotten to know each other over probably the past year, and to consider him a friend is really cool. He's just a really cool dude. So this is an interview. We play pickleball together once a month, kind of helping him with his pickleball game. And we did this interview at his home, I think, after one of our sessions. So check it out. Enjoy it. Sit back, relax, enjoy the ride, and I'll see you on the other side. To remember the name of the podcast because I had another podcast.
Right. Totally.
And so I'm like, what podcast is this? And I've done that on camera before. And it was so funny. It was with my first guest. And he was like, what? I was like, it's been a long week. Take 2, right? And then just the other day I was doing the intro and I was like, this is the Pickleball Recovery Podcast. That's the one.
That's it.
I meant to leave you hanging. Yep. So, okay, here we go. Michael Breus, thanks for joining us on Pickleball Recovery.
I am so excited to be here, Tim. This is fun, and I'm a pickleballer myself.
Yes, you are.
So I'm excited to talk recovery.
Yeah, really happy to have you here. Thanks for making the time.
Of course, dude. This is awesome. Hanging out in my backyard. I mean, what could be better?
It's not too shabby. And one of the things that, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, which you can't see, but I can smell.
Isn't it
is this
glorious?
Amazing jasmine in bloom. Holy moly.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's outstanding. I have a little jasmine plant in my backyard, and it's like the little train that could. I'm like,
right.
I think I can. Here's a little more. Come on. And just today, it finally bloomed, and I like stuck my face in it, and I was just like, I think I smell you. I think I'm so happy. And here, I don't have to do that at all.
Yeah, it's pretty like epic. We'll show it after the show. We'll do a little round robin of the
totally.
backyard. So
I literally almost just grabbed the tripod just to show it off because it's just like, oh, I am here, Tim. Let me bathe you in fragrance. What podcast is this again? Horticulture Weekly?
This is the Pickleball Recovery
that's the
podcast.
One. That's the one.
But we're recovering. We're in nature, and that's part of recovery.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Right?
I start my day.
I'm down with nature.
Every morning, I make a bulletproof coffee, and I go outside, and I take off my slides, and I go barefoot in my grass.
I love that.
And I hug my jacaranda tree for 30 seconds.
That's a new one.
Certified tree
hugger. Dude, you are a tree hugger.
You heard it here first.
Yep,
I'm
no question.
genuinely a tree hugger. Hug it every morning, and then I drink my coffee in the grass, barefoot, just being with nature.
What time do you wake up?
Typically, it's 6.
And then what time are you doing your tree hugging?
By about 6:15.
So I have a little bit of advice for you.
Yes.
Because I do morning routines.
Okay.
Right? And so we're here on Pickleball Recovery. And
Yes.
so we want to talk about sleep routines, but also morning routines.
Morning routines. That's right.
So one of the things that's interesting is many people don't know this, but sleep in and of itself is a dehydrative event.
It's true.
Right? So
Yes.
we lose almost a full liter of water from sweat, oil, tears, but believe it or not, humidity in our breath is the biggest factor.
Yeah.
So one other thing to remember is caffeine is a diuretic.
It's true. It's very true.
So if you could just hydrate before the bulletproof coffee and the tree hugging, just give me 1 full bottle of water, I'm a happy man.
You'll be happy to know
Yes.
that because of you, I drink a full glass of water right when I get out of bed.
Perfect. That's exactly what I want you to do.
Because Michael was a guest on a summit that we did maybe a year ago, and you talked about that. And I was like, I can do that.
Yeah.
So now every morning,
I love it.
I get out of bed, I go right to the sink, guzzle,
Perfect.
and then downstairs. I do a little bit of stretching, and then downstairs for the bulletproof.
Even better. And so you do a lot of things then that are exactly the type of thing that we want people to do. And there's science behind a lot of it as well. So one of the things is just being outside.
Yes.
Right? So let's talk about, if I can.
Yes.
Let's just talk about that briefly for a moment.
Yep.
So what a lot of people don't know is when you wake up in the morning, when sunlight hits your eyeball, right, there's a special cell in your eye called a melanopsin cell, and it sends a signal to your brain to turn off the melatonin faucet in your head.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what sunlight does when you see sunlight in the morning. Now, here's an interesting fact. Many people don't know this, but it actually does something else. It actually also sets a timer for when melatonin should start again.
Interesting.
About approximately 14 hours later. This, by the way, is why I tell people, if you just do one thing, like if you really only want to do one thing to improve your sleep, wake up at the exact same time, roughly, every single day.
Yeah.
Right? Because here's what happens is, let's say you're waking up at 6:30 during the week and 9 o'clock on the weekends.
Yep.
Right? Well, then when that timer clicks in at 9 o'clock, it pushes you 3 hours south, right, from during your week. So all of a sudden, you're instantly in this situation that in the science world we call social jet lag.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I was going to say it's like a Monday morning hangover.
Exactly. That's why Monday sucks.
It's a sleep hangover.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. So you're doing some awesome stuff in the morning time, right? So getting outside and getting that sunlight within 15 to 20 minutes of waking up is the absolute best way that you can do this. So
Brilliant.
I love the fact that you're doing that. You're getting your water first.
Yep.
You're getting your caffeine when you need it.
Yep.
All good.
Yep.
Here's another thing that you're doing that I love, love, love. I don't have a ton of science behind it, but I got to be honest with you.
Yep.
I do it too.
Okay.
Put my feet on
Yes.
the earth.
Yes.
Feet on earth.
Yes.
Right? And here's the thing that's cool about that. It's called grounding.
Yes.
Right? And while that is not my area of expertise from a scientific standpoint, my understanding is there's a couple of studies out there where people can feel a difference by doing something like this. Now, I've been in practice for 23 years.
Okay.
And I've only had 2 patients who are EMF sensitive.
Yes.
Right? And that's kind of a different aspect of grounding.
Yes.
Right? But there are some people out there who the electricity in their home or the cable or whatever it is, there's so much electromagnetism that's in their home, it's encircling them, and they feel as though they're sensitive to that. 2 of my patients actually turned out to be electromagnetic sensitive because one day I just said, throw off the breaker box. Just turn every single thing off in the house and go to bed. Slept like a stone.
Wow.
Did it for 3 nights in a row. I mean, their family was pretty pissed.
Right.
But they figured it out. So
that's
then,
key.
Believe it or not, they make paint, and you can paint your walls, and you can create a Faraday cage in your home. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
Unbelievable. And there's grounding pads that you can put underneath your bed.
Yep.
Again, the science is a little weak there.
Yep.
But if you're one of these people that is EMF sensitive and you try it and it works, good luck and God bless. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I had I was diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury in 2016 from too many concussions.
Yep.
Because they're cumulative.
Yes,
and
they are.
in my rehab, I came across a doctor who had published a book called The Concussion Repair Manual.
That sounds
How's
like
that for the best title
I
ever?
know, ever.
Well done on your keywords. And one of the chapters was on grounding.
Oh, there you go.
And he started to talk about pulsed electromagnetic frequencies, PEMF,
Yep,
and
absolutely.
how our bodies are used to getting that from the earth.
Right.
But now in our suburban life where we're always on concrete, we're now divorced from that energy, and that our cells are basically not unlike our phone. They have a voltage
100%.
and like a charge, and
Yes.
there's like an optimal charge and then a suboptimal charge.
Correct.
And so we need to make sure that we're charged up.
Absolutely.
And so
I don't know if you noticed, I have a PEMF mat.
I saw it in there, and I was so excited because I have one in my bedroom, and I was like, let's geek out over PEMF too. We're just going to dive down the rabbit holes together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I use it almost every single night.
Yep.
I have a travel one. So
Nice.
it's a little bit smaller because the mats can get
Yeah,
pretty
mine's
large.
big and
So I have
bulky.
it in my lazy boy chair.
Yep, I saw that. I saw it.
And then when you kick the feet up, I click the thing on. I can watch sports or whatever, and I can get my PEMF.
So
and it's also got heat too
Nice.
as well. And then
Nice.
there's all these beautiful crystals on it. So
Lovely.
it's kind of cool.
Lovely.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
California.
If you got an injury, just rub some kale on it.
That's right. You're going to be good.
You'll be
to
fine.
Go.
That is California right there.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I love your morning routine.
Thank you.
I think it is absolutely spectacular. Can I add a piece?
Go.
Okay, I'm going to add one piece,
Yep.
and it's only because I know you as well as I do.
Yep.
So there's one thing that I do in my morning routine that I think is worthwhile adding.
Okay.
Unconditional love.
Aw.
So every single morning I spend 5 minutes on the floor with my dogs.
Oh.
Right?
So do I.
See? So that's the thing
It's
to
the
add.
greatest.
It's the best.
It's the greatest. So I get up, I go have the water.
You haven't told them about the breath work that we do, have
Oh,
you?
we haven't even gotten there yet either. No. And use the bathroom. And then my two dogs will be Luna, who's my corgi, and Chewy, who's my mutt. They'll be waiting for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
On the floor. And so I drink the water, and then I go and I sit down and I do like a knee kind of quad stretch where I just basically sit on my feet.
Yep.
With my torso upright, and I scratch the ground on either side of me, and Luna comes up to the
Yep.
right, Chewy comes up to the left, and they get a massage
Perfect.
at the same time.
That's
and then
perfect.
I go down and do kind of like child's pose,
Mm-hmm.
and then Luna licks my head.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
That's fantastic. That's total unconditional love.
It's the best.
So
It's so good. I can't. I've never told anybody that I do that routine. My wife's the only one who's ever witnessed
dude,
it.
you just told everybody.
You now know the truth. But I love that you do that too, and that
Yep,
you just pulled that one
100%.
out, and I'm just like, I can't wait to say this. Oh my god.
So my routine's super like scheduled.
Yeah.
But here's what I do. I wake up somewhere between 5:45 and 6:15, depending upon a whole host of different factors like my melatonin and what happened the night before and blah blah blah.
Okay.
And then from my dogs need medication, so we give them medication, and there's a time period that has to pass before I can feed them.
Yep.
So it's about 45 minutes, and so I do meditation for 45 minutes, actually
Nice.
sitting there in that chair.
Lovely.
And one dog is on the couch, the other dog is sitting between my legs. During the meditation, he puts his head on my knee, and then we're in.
Nice.
It's perfect. Then at exactly 7 o'clock, we go down, feed the boys, and then I take them immediately for a walk. So that's where I'm getting my sunshine, my fresh air, and my exercise.
Yep.
Back through my office, and it's usually it's about 7:25.
Okay.
So you know
know
what's
what's
coming
coming.
next.
Yep.
So then I do hang out with my dogs on the ground, and at 7:30 I jump online with you, and we do breath work.
And we do breath work. Brilliant. Great morning.
So that's my morning, and then I do
love
my
it.
fitness sometimes afterwards.
Yep.
So I might go to the gym or go for a run or something like that.
Yep.
But the reason I wanted to start off with morning routine, people are like, you're a sleep doctor. Why are you starting with morning routine? Because you need to be thinking about your sleep from the beginning of the day. Okay, so most people, they don't think about sleep until they're heads bobbing or it's like 30 minutes before bed.
Got it.
Right? But if you set your intentions and you set your schedule appropriately, sleep gets much, much easier. Right? So consistent morning wake up time, consistent sunlight, consistent water, consistent air, consistent love.
Yeah.
Right?
Love it.
So the way I think about it is when I wake up in the morning, I have to clear out my head. So that's what the meditation is for.
Yep.
The second thing I have to do is I have to give myself energy. So how do I give myself energy? I'm outside in the sun, in the air.
Yep.
I get love from the dogs, and then the breath with you.
Yep.
Then it's not. By the way, it's not just with him. There's like
a bunch of
30
guys.
of us
Yes.
online doing it.
Yes.
And then my fitness, and then I feel strengthened.
Yep.
Then I take a cold shower.
Yes.
I hit the. I mean, you know, right? I hit the day at 9:15. I talk to my assistant until 9:30. I don't take a call before 9:30. I don't care if it's Oprah.
Yep.
Like, I really just don't
Not
care.
negotiable.
Yeah, and that's
Nope.
my morning, every single morning. And when I do that, my whole day works well. So here's the thing that people don't really think about is stress affects sleep.
Yep.
Right? And so when you can set your day up where you've done things for you, and let's be fair, right? Like you and I, we have a pretty complicated morning routine.
Yep.
Everybody out there, you don't have to have as complicated a morning routine, right? Like you
Yes.
pieced it together. I did.
Yep.
Like when I started doing this meditation, 5 minutes
Right.
max.
Right. Right.
Okay. Like I was
Sure.
lucky to get 5. Now I do 45. Sometimes I do an hour.
Right.
So I think the thing to tell people is, number one, don't be afraid of trying a morning routine.
Yep.
And throw in something that's meaningful to you. I heard a great one when I went to a conference that I next year I'm going to have you come to this conference. I think is really cool.
Okay.
And there was a professional athlete, and he came up and somebody asked him what he did in the morning, like whatever his routine was, and he said he walked to his sink every single morning and he washed his face 3 times. He would wash away the past from the day before.
Okay.
Right? He would then, what was the second one? He would, as he was washing his face, he was think about the present, about the future, like his intention for the day.
Okay.
And then the final was like his hygiene.
Okay. Wow.
But it was
Fascinating.
It was interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because he literally did something physical
Yes.
that was touch,
And
water,
symbolic,
right?
all
that,
at the same time.
Again, so it could be as simple as something like just wash your face a couple times,
Yep.
right? Like I don't want people to think this has to be hyper complicated,
Right.
right? But wake up at the same damn time
Yes.
every day,
Yes.
no matter what.
Yes. And do something for yourself.
100%.
So one of the big things that I think is really important is humans. One of the difference between humans and animals is being creative
Yeah.
versus reactive.
For sure.
Right? Like we're not just a stimulus response mechanism that reacts to the external
Well, some
world.
of them, some people.
Yes. Yes.
LA traffic.
Yeah, there's a few here in Southern California.
For sure.
But that idea that we have this gift of that we create our life.
Yes.
Right? And we don't just react our way through our life. And so let's take life's a big chunk. So let's like
sure.
break that down into smaller bite-sized segments like your day, create your day. Okay, cool. That's still a big chunk.
100%.
Right? So how about your morning? Okay, how about the first 15 minutes?
Yeah, that's
it. Just
That's all you
there.
have to
Just
think.
start there. Create that. Because then you will have created something for yourself.
Which is rare,
I know.
unfortunately.
I know.
Right? Like that's exactly like, and that also kind of runs into the whole theme of pickleball, recovery, and the whole thing. It's like these are things that we're doing for ourselves, for
Yes.
our health.
Yes.
Like this is an enjoyment, for folks, and just thinking through that as an idea. Like, yeah, do something for yourself.
Yes.
Every single day. So many people don't, and
They
they feel
don't.
like they do something for everybody else.
Right. Right.
And not themselves.
Absolutely. And I know that pickleballers do something for themselves, which is play pickleball.
For sure.
Right. And then we love it so much, we tend to play too much of it. So
Well, this is where the recovery part comes in.
This is where the recovery part. That's what I was
So now we
like.
can go to the latter part of the day.
Yes.
We can talk about sleep at night.
Yeah, because I think, to your point, because we've talked about sleep before, like people don't really, it's like they know they have to sleep.
Right.
We live in a culture that glorifies sleep deprivation.
100%.
Right. It's not cool to set boundaries for around sleep. Right?
Right.
Like, hey, I got to go, guys. I got to catch my Z's. Hey, good self-care. Said no one ever.
Right.
Right. Oh, come on,
Said no
stay
one
out.
ever.
Oh, what are you talking about, you wimp? Come on, or
Yeah.
worse.
Right.
So we don't get any social reinforcement for sleep hygiene
Yeah.
or sleep routine.
And it's even worse because what we don't understand is the universe is fighting against us in this in every way, shape, and form. I'll give you one example. The president of Netflix said his biggest competition is sleep.
Oh, wow.
Right? So we're talking about, granted, Netflix, right? But like that's his competition is something that every single human on earth needs to do to function properly.
I'm holding my head right now.
Right? Like it's crazy.
That is not, and yet it's not remotely surprising.
Right, but when you think about it, like look how Netflix shows are set up, right?
Yes.
You can watch an entire series a night. You can
Yes.
binge, you can go
Yes.
24 hours on
Oh,
something,
yes.
no problem, and you don't even realize it.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of things that are built into society that we don't necessarily think about that can, obviously have an effect.
Yep.
One of the things I like to ask people to do is do what I call a power down hour.
Okay.
Right. So let's say you're going to bed at 11, right?
Okay.
So then starting at 10 o'clock, here's what I have you do. Set an alarm for 10 o'clock. Now people are like, wait a second, why would I have an alarm at night, not an alarm in the morning? Idiot. It's to remind you to go to bed, right? Because
stop working.
Exactly.
Stop.
Exactly.
Step away from your phone.
And that's the thing is we get so caught up. Like you're
totally.
scrolling on Facebook or whatever, or you're into work or you're watching a show and you just lose track of time, which is a great escape. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a little bit of escapes, but dude, go to bed, right? I mean, because your escape is you're going to pay for it later. I mean, I promise you, right? Like, please. And so this power down hour, you take that hour and you break it up into 3 20-minute segments. Okay. So you know me, I'm very prescriptive.
Yes.
Right. So the first 20 minutes is just shit you got to do.
Okay.
Right. So so if you got kids, it's getting backpacks together, finding sports equipment, shoes, all that kind of stuff that happens there. If you're single living with people, it's like, okay, I'm putting out my work clothes. I'm getting ready I got my clothes for the gym in the morning. Like just get stuff done that allows your morning to have a little bit more time because nobody likes to be rushed in the morning.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so take 20 minutes to just do a little prep.
Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense.
And then 20 minutes for hygiene.
Okay.
A couple things I want to talk about with the hygiene section. So number one, for anybody out there that wears makeup, one of the things that a lot of people don't know is when you remove your makeup, you're in front of a big lit mirror.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of people don't remove their makeup until the last thing before bed.
Yeah.
So basically you're getting a dose of sunlight into your eyeballs and it's stopping the ability for melatonin to be produced.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because
so your brain thinks that the kitchen or the bathroom
light
is
morning.
Sunlight?
Exactly.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Specifically when we're talking about makeup, and the reason I bring up makeup is because a lot of the mirrors have got lights around them, or you're really looking close because you want to remove everything and get out, clean out your pores and your skin, but you're just bombarding yourself with light.
Kidding.
So instead of waiting until the hour before bed, take your damn makeup off at 6 o'clock and relax in your house. But you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Don't get that big dose.
Yes.
That's a hack that a lot of people don't know about.
I am so grateful for that because I spend so much time taking off my makeup
at the
end of the night because it is hard to look this good.
I know.
Takes a lot.
I wish I could look as good as you, bro. I wish.
Stop it.
So
that's really I never.
Nobody ever thinks of it, right?
That's a great one.
So another one. I got a couple.
Okay.
Is during this period of time, you definitely want to have a routine.
Okay.
Because you want to kind of move through it somewhat swiftly. Because if you're not a great sleeper, one of the things that you can do is add on a hot shower or hot bath.
Nice.
Okay. And so a lot of people don't know the science behind it. So I'm going to break it down real quick.
Yep.
So as we fall asleep, our core body temperature rises. It hits a peak.
Okay.
And then it falls.
Right.
That fall is a signal to our brain to release melatonin.
Okay.
All right. So what you can do is you can artificially create the fall.
Okay.
By going into a hot tub.
Yep.
It should be a bubble bath, by the way. Bubbles actually across the top of the water keep it's like a layer of insulation.
Yes.
It keeps the
it
water
longer.
hotter longer,
yes.
right? And so you want about 100 degrees. So Mr. Bubble is your friend, right? And so I can see you in there with Mr. Bubble with the whole head. I love it.
I got a rubber ducky.
Absolutely. And then you get in there for about 15 minutes and you let your core body temperature rise. And then when you get out, you allow your core body temperature to fall, which again helps trigger.
That's the trigger.
Melatonin.
Wow.
Other, general hygiene things. A lot of people like to ask me questions about what should I wear to bed.
Right.
So thermoregulation is a big deal, right? And so again, this whole core body temperature thing, when it hits the peak and it falls, if you create heat, you bring yourself out of sleep.
Got it.
So you got to stay cool until your body naturally starts to elevate in terms of temperature.
Okay.
So what do you wear to bed? Everybody wants to know, pajamas or naked? Like what's better for you?
Right.
So number one, it's definitely a personal preference.
Okay.
There is some data to suggest that it's easier to thermoregulate without clothing on because you have one less thing that's kind of creating this barrier of humidity and heat because there's a microclimate, believe it or not, underneath the covers.
Okay, yeah.
And that's part of the reason why it gets so hot.
Yep.
So as our core body temperature drops, we have to give off that heat. So the air underneath the covers gets humid.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay.
And then we feel that humidity and it makes us hot.
Interesting. Okay.
I know it sounds crazy, but if you really look at the thermodynamics of sleep, it turns out to be a big deal.
Okay.
So, I mean, like companies spend billions of dollars trying to figure out mattresses
Right.
that will keep you cool.
Yes.
Like as an example.
Yes.
So there's a lot of utility here.
Yep.
And for somebody who's active, who's a pickleball player,
Yep.
a lot of people run a little hot depending upon what time of day they were playing.
Sure.
Like if you play an evening match or an
wrecks
evening
my
game,
sleep.
right, it can be difficult. So
Yep.
in those cases, instead of the hot, I would recommend the cold.
Okay.
So there's actually some data. Now, this is going to sound crazy because I didn't believe it. I have a patient who wakes up in the middle of the night and takes a cold shower and goes back to sleep. Now, for me, cold showers wake me up.
Yeah, totally.
I found data that showed that when you have a shock to the system like
Right.
that, it actually helps produce melatonin. So for
Wow.
this guy, it works. I'm not
figured it
recommending
out.
cold showers in the middle of the night. I want to be clear about that. But hot showers right before bed, I think that can be helpful. But again, thinking through what is your recovery. So do you have any aches? Do you have any pains? What's
Yep.
going on here? So during that 20 minutes, that's the time to take care of some of that stuff.
Okay.
So if you need your icy hot on your knee
Right.
or your Aloe MD, right, or
Right.
whatever it is,
Good shout.
that you bet. So I know how to do this. So get your shit in line.
Yep.
So that way you can have a successful night of sleep, because what you don't want is you don't want a muscle tear to wake you up in the middle of the night, like a strain
Right.
or soreness.
Right.
Because here's what happens, right, is you don't sleep in just one position.
Right.
You move around, and
Yep.
if you
Yoink.
right.
Yep.
And in the middle of the night, sharp pain, you're
Yep.
up.
You're up.
Like you're done for
Yep.
the rest of the night. So, and another thing is if you are using anti-inflammatories, whether they be natural or OTC or from your doctor,
Yep.
that can be a reasonable thing to be thinking about during this period of time as well.
Yeah.
Take my meds before bed,
Yep.
and whatever other medications that you might be taking. If you're taking blood pressure medication, all these things, this is that time.
Yep.
And then the last 20 minutes, meditation, relaxation. The way I say it is that you need runway to land the plane.
There you go.
Right?
Yep.
So I don't really give a shit what you do during that period of time. You can choose. I will tell you my personal favorite and the one I find works the best.
Wait, let me guess. Danielle Steele novels.
No.
Oh, somehow. I just thought that was going to be it, but no. Okay.
Gratitude.
Oh, yes.
So I do gratitude lists. So because there's actually data to show
Yep.
if you go to bed in a positive mood,
Yep.
you fall asleep quicker and you have more positive dreams.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
who doesn't want that?
Who doesn't want that?
Right?
No. Yep.
Now, there are other things you can do. Prayer.
Yep.
You can read scripture if that's your thing.
Yep.
Listen to a podcast. Perfectly fine thing to do.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to say something. People are going to freak out, but it's the truth. It's okay to watch TV to fall asleep.
What?
Yeah, it's okay.
Really?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Okay, here's the deal. 99% of televisions have got a timer built into the software. If you can't figure it out, ask your kid.
Okay.
I had to ask my kid. So
Okay.
he showed me how to do it.
Oh,
and you
interesting.
can set the timer. It goes off 90 minutes later.
Okay.
So it's not on all night long.
All right.
So my wife, she cannot fall asleep without the television on.
Interesting.
It's impossible. When we went and stayed at a bed and breakfast, I almost thank God I brought my laptop because she could watch TV from
Oh, no
there because
kidding.
well, it distracts her.
Yeah, I got it.
Right. And
Yep.
so a lot of people who have sleep-related problems, specifically falling asleep-related problems,
Yep.
number one complaint, can't turn off my brain.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Zzz,
Yep.
Going.
Oh, totally.
Right.
A little gerbil on the wheel.
Exactly. So what I tell people all the time is, look, if that's the thing that distracts you, I don't think I care.
Yeah, yeah. Whatever
give
gets the
me a
gerbil.
break.
Yeah, whatever gets
it's-
it to take a smoke
right.
break.
Like as long as you're not like mainlining heroin to go to bed, like I think we're in pretty good shape here.
Yeah.
Television, like come on.
Yeah.
And it's like they think it's like the devil. Like
Right.
all my colleagues are like, oh my God, you have to tell people not to fall asleep with the TV on. I'm like, bro, that causes more stress.
Yeah.
For most of the people.
Well, you
that I
hear
work
so many
with.
people talk about what is it with cell phones and iPads and with the type of light.
Blue light.
Blue light.
Yep. So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So when you
TV, not blue light.
TV is blue light.
Okay.
But you can wear blue light blocking glasses.
Fair.
Right? And they're like $20.
And it's not right in your face.
So it's proximity is a big factor. But if you're on your iPhone or your iPad,
Yeah.
dude, you're close.
Yeah, you are.
And that's not good. And by the way, the software that's in the iPhone that supposedly changes the color doesn't work
Okay.
at all. They tested it at Rensselaer Polytechnic, and they discovered that night shift, I think is what it's called,
Okay.
has no effect on melatonin whatsoever.
That reminds me of a story of Starbucks and their decaf beans that are not decaffeinated.
Yeah, they're not decaffeinated.
Because and I remember it was so funny. It was at a conference, we were talking about it, and the guy was like, no one would wait in a 30-minute line and pay $5 for a decaf latte.
No way.
They wouldn't. They're getting something out of that coffee. And it's not just the sugar. And I was like, and they're like, and we tested it, and it's true. The decaf has caffeine in it. And it was like, oh, all right, well, it all checks out.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So
can we talk about caffeine?
We can, but I'm going to finish up this last little thing in my head, which is you got to have some downtime.
Yes.
So pick your poison.
Okay.
Pick your pleasure. I don't care, but it's got to be some downtime.
Got it.
And whatever that means for you. And by the way, you and your bed partner, if you have one, do not have to go to bed at the same time.
Okay.
There's no freaking requirement out there for that. A lot of couples think, oh my gosh, our relationship is doomed because we're not going. No, it's not. Your chronotypes could be different. You could be an early bird, she could be a night owl, or vice versa.
Absolutely.
Right? So don't get bogged down in our relationship needs us to sleep in the same bed at the same time. Okay? Because that just doesn't always work. And and here's the other thing. Like, let's say, I'm going to reference it back to pickleball. Let's say that you're playing and you get injured.
Yep.
And you've got your leg up. Maybe you should sleep in the guest room. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
To get a good night's sleep.
Yep.
And to not bother your bed partner.
Yep.
I mean, look, lots of people don't sleep in the same bed every single night. Now, people are thinking, oh my gosh, we're talking about like Lucy and Ricky and the two.
Right.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what is your health status and how much sleep do you need to get, and the quality of that sleep might affect your performance, not just on the pickleball court, but in life,
totally.
in your career, and all of these things. So I have a lot of couples where they'll sleep apart during the week, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they'll sleep together.
Okay.
So that way, intimacy is fine, relationship is fine, but I want to get my real sleep during the week.
Totally.
And that kind of makes sense sometimes.
Yeah.
So again, I just want to give people the options and knowing and understanding. Number one, there's no hard and fast rules to sleep.
Yep. Okay.
We all should, in theory, be able to do it.
Yep.
Very few people can't sleep at all.
Got it.
Right. Very few people have ever not been able to. There's only a very few things that could ever really, really do that. So what we see with a lot of it is stress-related, habitual, so bad habits, right? And then just people not really understanding the science of things like wake up at the same time every day, those types of things. And I know I'm saying things that people say, oh, Michael, that's easy, but I've got insomnia. Right. Okay, insomnia is a whole different ballgame. Right? So if you have a formal sleep disorder, if you got sleep apnea, you got narcolepsy, you got insomnia, periodic limb movements, go see a freaking doctor about that, okay?
Right.
And get that worked out. Also, by the way, it'll improve your performance in every single thing that you do because sleep affects every aspect of your life.
Yep.
Right? Every body system, every disease state is affected by sleep. And so anywhere you want to perform better, if you can get higher quality sleep, it's going to go.
Yeah. I think the thing from the mental health side, what blew me away in my rehab with my doc talking, he's like, sleep deprivation. He's like, you have to fight for your sleep. You
Absolutely.
have to fight for your sleep because your brain's basically taking it's like you're a rinse cycle in the dishwasher while you're sleeping, right?
Yeah,
and
totally.
so he's like, the next day, and this was stunning, he's like, people who are chronically sleep deprived, they present with the same symptoms as people who have depression.
Yep.
People who have ADD, ADHD.
Correct.
And people who blow a 0.1 blood alcohol content.
That is correct.
That blew my mind.
That is correct.
Because if you go to a doctor with those symptoms, they might diagnose you with ADD, ADHD,
100%.
depression, and now you're on a medication that has nothing to do with the situation.
Right, which is your sleep deprivation.
Your sleep deprivation.
We see it happen all the time.
It's insane.
It's unbelievable in clinics where you see that happening all the time. And, people think that sleep is like that shock absorber of their life, and so if I'm having a stressed out day, I'm just not going to sleep and I'm going to get my work done.
Right.
And my body will be able to, compensate. Your body can compensate some,
right,
but your body doesn't compensate every night.
No.
And
the older I get, the less buffer I have.
For sure. And I mean, dude, karma's a bitch. Like, it catches up. Oh, it's brutal. It's brutal when you think about it. And as we get older and I want to be active.
Yeah.
Like, I'm 54 years old. I'm excited to be where I am, Southern California, playing pickleball, having a good time, playing tennis, like being active.
Yep.
If you don't sleep well, higher risk of injury. Hold on, honey. We're on a podcast. Thank you. Sorry, guys. That was my wife from calling up there. We might have to cut that out.
It was like Juliet on the balcony.
On the balcony,
that
right?
Was so
exactly.
Good.
Exactly. Wait, what were we talking about? She broke my train of thought.
Oh, you were like, I live in Southern California. I'm active. I play tennis. I play pickleball.
So I want to be able to continue to do all of those things.
Yep.
And if you want to be able to do all of those things, if you don't get good sleep, it's just not going to happen. You're not going to perform at the level you want.
Yep.
And every professional athlete that I've worked with, and I've been fortunate to work with many, we figure out what their chronotype is.
Okay.
We get them sleeping on a straight schedule. We lower the amount of caffeine that's in their systems, generally speaking, because we know, look, caffeine has a half-life of between 6 and 8 hours in normal metabolizers. As we get older, our metabolism slows down, which means the effect lasts longer.
Yes.
But here's the thing that most people don't know. The quarter life of caffeine
I was about to say that. I was like,
12 hours.
You have to say quarter life because nobody knows this.
Nobody knows what a quarter life is.
So break that down in like, let's say, okay, I have a mug of coffee, and it's a mug. These mugs these days, they're giant,
not small.
right? So it's actually
not small.
It's 2 full cups of caffeinated coffee.
Correct.
Right? And let's say I have that at noon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Break down what a quarter life, what that impact actually means across time, because I think this will blow people's minds.
So here's what's interesting, is the half-life means half of it stays in your system for this period of time.
Yep.
So if somebody that's our age, we're looking at somewhere between 6 and 8 hours. So let's just say 8 hours, right? So you have it at noon, at 8 o'clock at night. At night, half of that coffee is still working in your system. Here's the scary part. 12 hours later, a quarter of it is.
Yeah.
So if you're at noon, at midnight, 25% of that so a half a cup of coffee is still floating around in your system, and it's having a stimulating effect, which is probably making it difficult for you to fall asleep or affecting the quality of said sleep.
Yep. Mind-boggling, right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And then alcohol is the other big kind of offender if you think about it.
Yep.
And a lot of people, I mean, let's be honest, the number one sleep aid in the world is alcohol. It is more people drink themselves to sleep than any other thing. And honestly, it's just a bad idea.
Yeah.
Alcohol really destroys stages 3 and 4 sleep, which is your physical restoration.
Okay.
And so this is half the reason for the hangover. The other thing is alcohol is a diuretic, so it makes you pee. So the other half of the hangover is dehydration.
It's dehydration.
So like if you're going to tie one on after the pickleball match,
right,
do yourself a favor. This is my secret hack.
Okay.
Coconut water.
Oh, why?
Massive amounts of zinc.
Okay. Interesting.
And it really helps with the whole detox process.
Okay.
So I have 1 coconut water, and then I make sure that I drink 1 glass of water for every drink that I have.
Right. And then I remember us talking about this at one other time, that like how far before I go to bed should I stop drinking alcohol?
So roughly 1 hour for each drink. Right.
Oh,
so if you want to have 2 glasses of wine with dinner,
right,
and dinner's over at 8, you can go to bed at 10.
Okay.
Right. You want to make sure that you keep a glass of water for each alcoholic beverage, just to keep your fluids good.
Yep.
And if you can, stick to 2 drinks. You really don't want to go over 2 drinks.
No.
Number 1, there's no need. Let's be honest. Like when you're on drink number 3, you're not enjoying your meal. You're trying to get hammered.
Yes,
right?
you are. It all shifts. That's like the dark. You know, the darkness comes in at the third drink.
When you hit the third drink, it's not social anymore.
Yeah, no.
So, but here's the thing chemically that happens is when you hit the third drink, your brain gets toxic, and that's where the buzz comes on.
Yep.
Right. And so when you hit that buzz, your brain says, "Oh shit, my brain's toxic," and so it spikes cortisol.
Okay.
Cortisol is the thing. It's the fight or flight hormone.
Yep.
You can't sleep when you have a cortisolized brain. So what you are is an energetic drunk.
Oh.
Which doesn't help you sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a really big difference between going to sleep and passing out.
Yes, there is. Yes. And we're not in college anymore.
We're not. We can bypass that for sure.
That ship has sailed.
Yes, thank God.
You mentioned you worked with athletes.
I do.
And you mentioned figuring out their chronotype.
Yes.
So can you help with the audience?
For sure.
Because you kind of basically defined what that is.
Sure.
So tell us about that briefly.
Absolutely. So chronotype. So if you haven't heard of the term chronotype, you've actually heard of the vernacular, which is if you've ever been called an early bird or a night owl, these are chronotypes. So number 1, I didn't invent them.
Okay.
I discovered a 4th
That
chronotype.
was it. Okay.
So back in the 70s, there were a group of scientists, and they came up with something called the morningness eveningness questionnaire, because they noticed that some people just didn't like mornings and some people loved them.
Yep.
So they decided, we're going to try to figure this out. And they realized, holy cow, this is interesting. Then they started to notice that it had something to do with the amount of sun that you got. Then they started doing blood work, and they're like, I think this could be genetic.
Oh.
Lo and behold, now fast forward, we're into the 90s or so. We've got lots of different people doing research on chronotypes. Believe it or not, there's probably north of 1,000 labs around the world that do chronotypical research,
Wow.
looking at things. The Nobel
Wow.
Prize in Medicine 3 years ago was to a bunch of chronotype researchers.
Okay.
Believe it or not. So
Okay.
understanding the circadian system, and that's what it is.
Gotcha.
So your internal circadian rhythm has 4 different options.
Huh.
One's an early, one's a middle, one's a night, and one's a messed up insomniac. I discovered the messed up insomniac one.
Gotcha.
So if you go to chronoquiz.com or
Okay.
you swing over to my website, thesleepdoctor.com,
Yep.
you can absolutely positively figure out your chronotype. There's a quiz, takes, 2 minutes.
Okay.
And then here's the best part, is we send you the perfect time to sleep, perfect time to drink coffee, the perfect time to be intimate,
Okay. Hubba
perfect time to
hubba.
drink alcohol. Hubba hubba is right. So we give away, because it's in the book.
Okay.
So the book is The Power of When.
Okay.
And it's super fun. People have really been, getting a lot out of it. But that's what chronotypes come from. And so when I work with athletes, a lot of them are like, dude, I know I need, 8, 9 hours because of the physical strain that's put on their body, but I only have time for 6 and I'm on an airplane. Like, how does all this work?
Yep.
So the biggest factors is consistency and time zones when
Okay.
you're dealing with athletes,
Okay.
right? Because athletes are different kinds of humans,
Yes.
right? They have different bodies, their bodies have different requirements, and some of them are gargantuan. Like,
Yes.
like when I've worked with basketball, it's literally like, it's crazy. The calories that they have to input, and it's not a linear relationship. It's not like, I'm 150 pounds and I'm working with somebody that's 250 pounds. I just have to exit by, it doesn't
No.
work that way.
No.
So there's a lot of different kind of things that you have to kind of move around. But the big factors are, how well do they do with jet lag?
Okay.
We have an algorithm that we use. It's actually an app now. It's called Time Shifter. So if people go to the App Store, you can get an app called Time Shifter,
Okay.
which is actually really, really cool. You download it, and it'll give you your first 2 jet lag plans for free. So it'll tell you what to do for the 2 days before you go on a flight.
Okay.
And so what it looks at is what time zone are you in?
Okay.
What time zone are you going to? What time is your flight? And what is your chronotype?
Whoa.
And,
Okay.
And so this is all like super good science. As a matter of fact,
So for those of us who are playing on the APP and the PPA tour,
Yep.
like I'm playing in Atlanta at the time of this recording. I'm playing in Atlanta in 2 weeks for my senior pro debut.
right, awesome.
But I'll be playing like an 8 a.m. Eastern time start time.
Which was going to suck for you because
Suck
that's
for
5
me.
a.m. your time.
Yes.
So what I would be doing, so there's a couple things we're going to work together on this.
Okay.
But what I would do is I'd start changing your time in the beginning of that week, and
Yep.
I'd have you on Atlanta time here, so that way when
Yes.
you get there, you can pop and be ready.
I was planning on like weaning,
You don't wean.
Well,
There's a
into
whole
Eastern
system.
time, just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. So the way we do it is we use melatonin, light, napping, and caffeine, and I can rotate you in any direction. I want.
Okay, so that's cool. So because a lot of pickleball players play tournaments in different time zones,
100%.
and that's a challenge. I imagine for those traveling west, it's easier
Yes.
than for those of us traveling east.
East is least and west is best.
Okay, yeah, got that wrong. But it's great out here.
It's amazing out here. You can
There's-
play pickleball year round.
we can.
East Coast, they're ain't playing pickleball year round.
And I know you guys in Florida, you can play year round.
That's true.
But you guys have thunderstorms 6 times a day. We do not.
We do not.
We also don't have bugs.
No, we
and
don't.
we don't have humidity.
No, we don't.
So we have.
That probably changes the game a lot, the humidity.
It does. It actually does.
bet it does.
And I've heard from guys and gals who live east and then come play west. Their main concern is becoming dehydrated because they don't notice that they sweat.
Right.
But
Which
they
is
can
big.
still breathe.
Yeah.
You
for
know,
sure.
when you go east, you're
I
just
know,
like,
it's like,
I'm gonna
yeah,
die.
It's terrible.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's another story. But I really do appreciate that. So it's Time Shifter.
Timeshifter.com.
Okay.
Or go on the App Store
Yeah.
and look for Time Shifter. If you use the code The Sleep Doctor, you get your first 2 plans for free.
Hey.
So it's awesome. Enjoy
Brilliant.
it. I've used it to Beijing. I've used it to Taiwan. I've used it to Japan, Switzerland, Spain, Portugal. It's been amazing.
Wow.
It really, but to be clear, it's 2 days before you leave.
Yes.
So don't think, oh, I'm leaving now. Now I'm going to do it, because
Right.
it's not going to
Too
work.
late.
You really need to prepare.
Okay.
Like do your prep first
Okay.
before you do that. But I mean, that's a big factor. And then the other big thing when I work with athletes is consistency. But it's interesting. It's not always timing consistency. It's bedroom consistency, because they're on the road,
Yep.
right? And so
Yes.
they're going different places. So now you might think,
Yep.
oh, they're going from one Four Seasons hotel to another. How bad could it be? So here's the thing: is it's pretty bad. So as an example, I work with somebody who's not an athlete but has a crazy travel schedule. So
Okay.
he's a DJ,
Okay.
Steve Aoki.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So Steve and I have been friends for a long time, and I help him with his sleep. But he could be in Las Vegas one night, and he could be in Ibiza
Right.
the next night,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So the time zone stuff we've got figured out, but the environment stuff is hard,
Yeah.
right? So what we've created is what we call a sleeping bag.
Okay.
So it's a duffel bag that has a topper, sheets, pillow, Steve's stuff. So we take out all that variability.
Yeah.
Right. So somebody comes in and makes the bed with his sheets, so they smell like him. So because his limbic brain, like here's the thing. There's this thing called the first night effect. Every single time you are in a brand new environment, you sleep like a dolphin. So dolphins sleep unihemispherically. One half of their brain is asleep while the other half is awake and looking for predators.
Yeah.
That's how you are every time you're in a hotel for the first night.
Dude, every time.
Every time.
Traveling, because as a speaker, I'm on the road, and as a pickleball player, every time that first night is a disaster.
Always.
Always. It's always a disaster.
So we have to take as many of those factors out. So that's why we use things that are familiar for him and for all of my athletes. So that way we can, because
try to at
least,
make it. Okay. That's really cool.
Yeah. So like bring your pillow or bring a pillowcase. The problem is a lot of people forget their shit.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful. But like bring stuff that, or another thing I used to do is put night lights strategically in the hotel room, because if you have to pee in the middle of the night and you wake up and you whack your leg, you're done.
Yep.
And it happens all the time.
Yep.
So just be smart. And the other big thing, check the alarm clock before you go to bed. That's just the worst. When some idiot is getting up at 4:30 in the morning and they click, you know what I'm saying, they leave the alarm going.
Yep. That's a bad one. I know everybody wants to know how many hours of sleep do I need and how do I find it out?
Sure. So it's actually relatively simple.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what I did. It's all about consistency. And
Okay.
so everybody's sleep need is personalized.
Yep.
Changes throughout your lifetime.
Yep.
Sometimes as you get older, you might need more. If you become more medically frail, you might need more. When you're a child, you need more.
Yep.
When you're an adult, you can probably get by with a little bit less.
Yep.
I go to bed right around 11:30. I get up somewhere between 5:45 and 6:15. I get roughly 6 hours and 15 minutes of sleep, and I'm the sleep doctor.
Wow.
Right? Now, how did I get there?
Never would have guessed that.
Right. Now, how do I get there? Right? And how do I get there safely and with good health?
Yeah.
Because that's what I did. So before I wrote the book, The Power of When, which is going back 6 years now, I decided to do the experiment on myself.
Okay.
So I know I'm a night owl. So I said, I'm only going to go to bed when night owls go to bed, and I'm going to wake up when night owls wake up, and I'm going to see what happens.
Okay.
So I went to bed at midnight, and I just didn't have an alarm. And I woke up normally at 7:30.
Okay.
And then about 3 weeks went by, still going to bed at midnight. I mean, on the spot.
Yep.
All of a sudden, I'm waking up at 7:15. 3 weeks goes by, it's 6:45. Another month and a half goes by, and now it's 6:15. My sleep naturally consolidated because of the consistency of my schedule.
Whoa.
And this is the biggest secret in all of sleep, is if you can keep this consistent schedule, it consolidates your sleep, but you still get the same percentages of all the stuff that you need.
Whoa.
Now,
so sleep becomes more efficient
and
effective.
Then, but it only works if you go to bed based on your chronotype.
Okay.
So that's the key factor.
Yep.
So that's why I can get. I mean, look, I've had no coffee today.
Right.
I did a 1 hour cycle. I did a 1 hour pump it up class. Like we've been out and about all day.
Yeah.
Like I am not a non-active person.
Yeah.
Like I probably blew through 4,000 calories worth of exercise today.
Okay.
Right. And I feel great.
Yeah.
So like everybody can get there. Like it's
wow.
But again, if you get the right sleep for you at the right time, the quality, and then you're good.
Brilliant. So figure out your chronotype. Go to sleep. Go to sleep based on your chronotype, and do it religiously.
And then it will.
You'll start to dial that in.
Exactly.
That's brilliant, because I have after my head injury, I noticed that if I mess with less than 8.
So head injury is completely different story, right? So,
but it's been 6 years.
Well, it depends upon the number of concussions you've had. It depends upon how much damage is there. Things like that, right?
Fair.
So, because like I had a TBI, but I was able to consolidate my sleep, and I don't need as much sleep. Again, different places probably where the TBI occurred can have a lot to do with that. But when I've got people who've been concussed as many times as you've described to me previously that you have,
20.
You have to, you really have to your brain's not working like my brain.
Right.
right?
Right.
So because of it's damage,
Yes.
right? And so there's almost
It's okay. You can say it.
yeah, there's only so much neuroplasticity, right, that your brain can have, right?
Yeah.
And so you're just going to need more time
Yep.
to recover. So you will need a little bit more sleep.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then somebody who's medically frail might need a different amount of sleep than both of us.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? So somebody who's got high blood pressure or, something along those lines, that can change the amount of sleep that you need, of course.
Got it. But find your chronotype, go to bed based on your chronotype, stick to that schedule, and watch that consolidate over time.
Every single time
Brilliant.
it works.
That's brilliant.
It's unbelievable.
Wow.
I tell people about it all the time. They're like, I don't understand it. I'm like, let me go do it for you.
And they can find their chronotype again where?
Chronoquiz.com.
Chronoquiz.com. Yeah. And then where else can people find you online?
So thesleepdoctor.com is my website,
Okay.
and people can swing on by. We've got a tremendous amount of information there. My blog is one of the things I'm super duper proud of because we have over, I think it's 2,000 blogs at this point. So any question you could imagine.
You've written about it.
I've written about it. But not only have I written about it, and it's not just my opinion, but we do all real science.
Okay.
So there's references,
Nice.
there's everything that you want. So it's
Nice.
literally like reading a scientific paper.
Brilliant.
Understanding, and then I will put my opinion in it. Like the bottom line is, in clinic, this is what I would do. That kind of stuff.
Nice.
To give people kind of that picture into it. So I think that's a great resource for people. Also, the products page is awesome because every one of the products is something that I've either tested, used on a patient, or things like that. I know it really works. So it's a trusted place.
Nice. Awesome. Michael, thank you so much for joining us on Pickleball Recovery.
Always fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I like recovering.
Yeah. Whee. Thanks so much for listening. Do you want to know the number one mistake picklers make that leads to increased pain, soreness, stiffness, and injury? Just head over to www.pickleballrecovery.com and download my free guide to playing with less pain and more enjoyment. Listen, pickleball makes us feel young at heart, but not necessarily young in body. So go download my free guide at www.pickleballrecovery.com. See you next time.